Okay, here we go. This is the second video for 1.3, solving absolute value equations. All right, so really nothing new to learn today, just kind of going over some possibly more difficult problems. All right, so let's look at number 6, pretty similar to the stuff we were doing yesterday. If we follow our steps, just remember we need to move everything outside the absolute value bars, which would be this 6. Now, this sometimes students want to subtract this 6 out. But remember, there's no symbol in between here, right? So that means that this would be multiplying by 6. So to get rid of it, I need to divide by 6. Divide by 6. Now it's gone. It's equal to 1. It's essentially gone. And now 30 divided by 6 is 5. So we're left with the absolute value of 5 plus 5r is equal to 5. All right, step 1.5, determine if there's going to be a solution. This is positive, so there will be. So now I can set up two equations, one equal to itself. That's easy. And we just take away the absolute value bars. And then the second one, we just set it up equal to its opposite, so equal to -5. All right, and then we solve. Subtract 5, subtract 5. We're left with 5r is equal to 0. What number times 5 equals 0? R's got to equal 0. All right, next one here. Subtract 5, subtract 5. We're left with 5r is equal to -10. Divide by 5, divide by 5. R is equal to -2. So there we go. We got two options here, 0 and -2. All right. Number 7. First thing I need to do is get rid of anything outside the absolute value bars, which would be this positive 1 here. Right? This is saying we're taking this absolute value equation inside here, or expression, and then adding 1 to it. So here we are going to subtract it out, and we're going to be left with -21. This will go away. We're left with absolute value of -8 plus 2a is equal to -21. And we're going to stop here because our step 1.5 would be determine if there's going to be a solution. Is there a possible solution? Can anything come out of these absolute value bars as a negative? No. So this is no solution. Okay. Moving on. Number 8, really easy one. Why don't you pause the video and try 8 and 9. All right, let's go over these answers here. Hopefully you've determined that we can just skip to the setting up two equations here. We got k plus 4 is equal to 2, and k plus 4 is equal to -2. And we just need to subtract 4 on both sides for each of these problems, and we're left with k is equal to 2 minus 4 is -2, and -2 minus 4 is -6. So there we go. All right, number 9. We got two things we've got to do. So the first thing is subtract 5. Okay, we're going to subtract 5, and we're left with, let's see, 3 times the absolute value of -5v minus 1 is equal to 2 minus 3, which is -3. And then don't stop here yet, okay? If you see a negative, it's not automatically a solution. Make sure you remove everything outside the absolute value bars first, okay? And so let's get rid of this 3. Remember, there's no symbol in between here, so that means we need to multiply. So to undo the operation, we need to do the inverse operation, which is divide. All right, so now we're left with, let's see, this is -3 divided by +3, so we get -1. So -5v minus 1 is equal to -1. Is this possible? Can anything come outside of this absolute value bar as negative? No. So this is no solution. And let's take a look at number 10 here. We've got, okay, so here's a good example here. Don't just look at this and say, oh, we're done. We don't have to do anything here because this is negative. We have to remove everything outside the absolute value bars first, okay? And so the first thing I need to do is get rid of that. Remember, we need to solve kind of in inverse or reverse GEMDAS order. We need to get rid of this subtraction first. So we need to add 4, and then we're left with -5, absolute value of 3x minus 1. This is gone. -44 plus 4 is going to be -40. And now we need to get rid of this -5 by dividing by -5. And we're going to be left with now a positive. So that's why I said don't mark it no solution quite yet. -40 divided by -5 is going to be +8. So now when we do our step 1.5, we can determine there will be solutions. So we're going to go ahead and set up two equations and solve. All right, and so we're going to do the same thing on both sides. Add 1, add 1. We're going to get 3x is equal to 9, and so x is equal to 3 here. And we're going to add 1 here, add 1 here. We're going to get x is equal to -7/3. Okay. Skipped a few steps here, but this is Algebra 2. You guys should know how to solve two-step equations. All right, number 11 looks really tough. But everything is outside the absolute value bars, and we have this whole thing equal to a negative. So we don't have to do much here. This is no solution. All right, last one here. We have a story problem. Michael Jordan averaged 37 points per game in 1987, year I was born. Suppose in one game, MJ was 12 points from his average. What possible point totals could Jordan have scored? Write a solution and absolute value equation to solve the answer. Okay, so this is a little tricky on how we have to write this. So 37 is his average, okay, and we were 12 points from the average, so it's going to equal 12. And so this might be a little tricky, but we're going to write this as -x, and hopefully you'll see why here in a little bit. So when we remove our absolute value bars, we're going to have 37 minus x is equal to 12. Okay, and then on the other side, all right, 37 minus x is equal to -12. All right, so now let's solve these. Let's do this one first. So we're going to first subtract this 37, and we're going to be left with -x is equal to, what's this, negative, and a negative, we're going to get -49, but this is a -x, or -1x, so if we divide by -1 on both sides, we're going to get x is equal to +49. So we could have had 49 points, that's on the high end of his scoring average, or we could look at the low end. So same thing here, we subtract 37, and we're left with -25. Same thing, drop down this -x. We know this is just going to be the opposite, so we're going to call this x is equal to 25. So there you go. He could have had 25 points this game. He could have had 49. Okay, so that is it for absolute value equations. You guys can give the rest of these practice problems and these two extension problems. And then there's also a little SAT prep here at the bottom. You guys should give those a shot as well. All right, later.